that your favorite creators have dedicated studios and they use big studio lights like this one. But what if you're in a very small room and you cannot possibly fit a big studio light in the room? And let's be honest, when you're a creator on a budget, you just want a light that does it all. Have you considered getting a panel light? Now, I know this is not the most popular choice, but I'm gonna change your mind in this video because I believe that panel lights are underrated and it might be exactly what you need. And if you don't believe me, I think this comparison already proves why a panel light is the way to go. Here's the setup. As you can see, I am in a very small space. This space literally just fits a bed and I have very limited floor room right now. So to make this feel more spacious, I am shooting into a corner because that allows me to create some depth between the background and myself. But that means that we only have one spot to put this light, and that is the corner. There is no way for me to fit a COB light with a big softbox in here without it driving me absolutely insane because it's gonna feel so cramped. So we're using a panel light instead. And in this video, I'm going to be using the Emerald Panel 120C. This is a full color RGB panel light. Now, you might think, why would I need that for a key light? But we'll get to that later. And this, what you're looking at right now, is what that looks like. So let's break it down. The first step when you use any kind of light to light yourself is to attach a softbox to it, and preferably with a grid. Now, the softbox is going to soften the light on our face because without it, even at the lowest intensity, it's going to look very harsh and it's not going to look flattering at all. Then you want to add a grid because this helps you direct the light onto your subject, which in this case is me, and it will minimize spilling in the background. Now, let's be honest, there is always going to be a little bit of spilling or spillage like you can see right now, but it is minimal compared to when we're not using a grid. Now, this light is specific, the Emerald Panel 120C, there will be a link in the description, is a very bright panel, which means that we only need 1% of 2 in order to light ourselves, and I have actually set it to only 2% to get this lighting. For placement, I put the light right in front of me and I tilted it down just a little bit for 2 reasons. One, it's the only floor space that we have to create somewhat of a, nice looking setup. And then 2, this is the lighting that I like best on my face. It's called the butterfly lighting and it just lays everything evenly. Now, this is my preferred lighting setup and I think that it looks the most flattering on me, but maybe you want to take a more cinematic approach, as you'd call it on YouTube, and you want to create some shadows in your face and some depth in your face. In that case, you would have to put the light more to the side of you to create those shadows. Now, in this case, I think they're nice and soft, but maybe you want to lift them ever so slightly, in which case you can use a fill light. I'm just using the Panel 120C as a fill light and I'm putting it on the opposite side of my key light in order to lift the shadows ever so slightly. I've set the intensity to 1% because this light is a very powerful light, and as you can see, it is now gently lifting the shadows. I've said this in the intro already, but I do really think that panel lights are underrated. Everyone, including myself, seem to use studio lights for everything, as a fill light, key light, hair light, everything. But panel lights are actually really great because 1, they're very compact, as you can tell, so we can actually use them in smaller spaces and they don't take up so much space. But then also, when it comes to the Panel 120C or the Panel 60C, is that they can actually be powered by a power bank. And this means that you have full flexibility on where you want to put this light. You're not limited to the availability of power outlets anymore. You can just put it wherever and power it with your power bank. And if your cable isn't long enough, by the way, here's a pro tip, maybe not so pro tip, just use a tote bag. As long as it's out of frame, no one's gonna know. And if you have been around on this channel for a little bit longer, you know that I just do whatever works. And if a tote bag works, then that's what I'll be using for my setup. Do you want to say hi? Hi, baby. So now that we have one cuddle with Gizmo, and I'm covered in cat hair. Now that we've lit ourselves with our key light and maybe an additional fill light, it is time to really do something about this background, because this, I think we can all agree, is just very boring. And we're gonna do this in 2 steps. Now, the first step is by adding a hair light, a rim light, a backlight, whatever you want to call it. And it literally does what the name says it does. It lights you from the back. And the reason why you want to use this, if your space allows this, is because it helps separate you from your background and therefore add a little bit more depth. I'm putting the Emerald Pano 120C behind me. I'm gonna put it more towards the top and then tilt it down a little bit so it lights my hair and my shoulder. And then I also want to make sure that it's not in the background. And step 2 is to start adding your practicals. And practicals are just basically any lights that we can add to your background to really bring it to life. So this could be as simple as something that you already have in the house, maybe a light bulb. And if you're like me and you love tube lights, you can also add tube lights to the back and maybe add some RGB colors to really bring your setup to life. Now, if you're using RGB, this is where the Pano Emerald 120C actually comes in very handy because you can match the backlight with the RGB or add another touch of color to yourself. Or if you're using just regular practicals that you have lying around the house, the Emerald Pano 120C ranges from warm white to cool white. So by changing the white balance to a warm white, you now have matched everything in your setup. The best way to use a backlight is by using it behind you. Now, in my case, because there is a bed right here and a very lovely cat, I cannot really put it behind me the way that I want to. So if you cannot dedicate a backlight to your setup, then using these lights in the background can also help separate yourself from the background. If you're on the go a lot or you go on vacation and you want to continue filming videos, filming in a hotel room, a bungalow, an Airbnb, it's already challenging enough, let alone having to depend on daylight, because that usually means that we're not really taking advantage of the space that we have because we're very limited in where we position ourselves. Whereas a COB studio light is a lot bigger to pack, a panel light is a lot thinner and a lot more compact. And the Pano 120C in specific, it technically fits in the laptop sleeve of your backpack, but since we're going on a trip, usually you're bringing your laptop anyway, so it doesn't fit there anymore. The bag or the case, whatever you want to call it, it comes in is actually, as you can see, quite small and quite slim and quite compact. So you can just put this in your suitcase and you can take your light anywhere you want. This is such an easy light to set up because of the click and go system. It's called the Emerald Ace Lock, and it is basically a magnetic lighting mount to which you just add your light in one click and you're ready to start filming. Now, right now I am in a hotel room, as you can see, and I'm currently being lit by the Emerald Pano 120C. And then I'm just using whatever I have in this hotel room. Now, luckily this hotel room came with some nice lighting, so I'm just using the practicals, close the curtains, so I'm controlling the light. And fun little fact, this right here is actually my iPhone, because in true hotel fashion, not always everything works. Not everything always works. I just put my iPhone on there and now it looks like I have 2 working lights. You could also use it as, for example, an overhead light for your product B-roll shots, for example. And since this panel light is full RGB, it means that there are literally no limits. You can use any color that you want, which means that you can add a pop of color to your background, or you can change the entire color of your background. You can use it for music videos, you can use it for creative photo shoots, you name it. Full RGB lights can do it for you. If you're interested in this specific one, which is the Emerald Pano 120C, as I've probably said a billion times in this video yet, there will be a link in the description. There is also the Pano 60C, which is a little bit smaller. It basically has the same features as this one. The main difference between the 60 and the 120 is the output, the 120C being the brighter one. I've put all links to the products mentioned in this video in the description as always, and if you want to learn how to make a boring white wall look cinematic without having to paint the wall, make sure that you watch this video right here, and I guess that's it.